Chapter 2. Do Pigmen Dream? The man's obi was a cluster of 9 huts and spotted a large farm at the back. Vegetables, beans and yam all grew there. Chickens wandered around too, with their swarms of hatchlings trailing them. There was the master hut, Unodiokpala. This is where he slept, alone or with any of his wives. Each wife had their hut too, all 3 of them. Then the rest, save for the cooking hut and chamber pot hut, belonged to the children. The walls inside and outside were one large mural. Patterns of multicolored shapes, symbols of ancient spells, stick writing of quotes from the great ape men. The boy's favorite was the sun, known to all as Anya Anwu Anwu, the eye of the undying. His father's hut was marked with this, a large blazing sun, red and hot to look at. The boy dreamed of the day he too would own such a hut, perhaps with his own wives and children too. He was distracted by a slap on the head. "Ozzy, stop looking for my trouble, oh, one day I will beat you." His little sister was already far away and laughed at his words. He made his way to the kitchen hut where 2 wives sat, cutting up ugu leaves for bitter leaf soup, while something boiled in the iron pot. "Ah, this one is big, oh. Are you sure it is not pregnant?" one of the women asked as he set down the hunting basket. Enioma was the first wife, and in many ways, the mother wife. She did not lord over anyone, but she was respected and revered. Her rank as Isi the First was unquestioned, and she earned it too, for her endless wisdom and tireless work. She was as much a mother to her daughters as she was to the younger wives and their children. "I was so close this time. Ask Nnanyi, he will tell you. It remains small like this." He gestured with his fingers. "I would have hit it in the stomach." The women smiled at him and his boyish excitement. "Don't worry, Anyi, one day you will be hunting with your eyes closed." "It's the same thing," Nnanyi said. "I don't know about eyes closed, oh. Let me first hit it with my eyes open." "Ehen, you will crawl before you run," the last wife offered. "Your mother is on the farm now. Please tell her to bring more pepper if you see her." In Ika culture, it was rude to command another woman's child, so orders had to be denoted with conditions, like, "if you see her." The children knew this, and so Anyi wasted no time running to the farm where his mother worked with 2 of his sisters. His younger and only brother carried a basket for the rest to harvest into. At his age, it was just about all he could be trusted with. "Nim ne Amaka said you should bring extra pepper. I think it's because the meat is too big." "So you caught big meat?" his mother asked. "Nnanyi shot it." He looked down. "But I was close, very close." "Don't worry, in no time." "I know," he interrupted. "I will be able to hit it with my eyes closed. Everyone keeps saying that." His mother shook her head and chuckled. "That is because it is true. Now go and wash yourself. There is water in the bathhouse and freshly pressed palm soap." "Don't finish all the soap!" Isioma, his eldest sister, shouted. "I want to use some after." "Why? So you can smell good for that town crier that plays the flute," Anyi teased, and everyone within earshot chuckled. "Anyi, you will not go away and mind your business. What are you even talking about?" Her defensiveness did not help matters. "It's okay. I'm not saying anything again. It's not like it is me that will marry you." Where there was once a chuckle, full-chested laughter now roared. The sister in question threw a tomato at Anyi, and he shielded his face, still laughing. "Leave here before I give you something to do. You think I don't know about you and Nnanyi." His sister spat. Anyi ran off, still laughing at his own humor, before anyone could extend the joke about him and Nnanyi, the Easy's daughter. He ran first to the hut he shared with his little brother, and then to the bathhouse after he grabbed his towel and removed his jewelry, beads, and small wooden figures worn on his wrists and neck. He did not take off his title necklace, though, a single string with a bone for a pendant, sculpted in the shape of a claw. It was a gift from his father, gifted to him by his grandfather, and before that, from his great-grandfather. All the way back to the ancestors they now poured libation for when the moon was high. One day, he too will bear a son. And when the son was named in the ways of the ancestors, the necklace would be passed on as family tradition demanded. He found the bathhouse empty. A small cubicle made of bamboo pillars and palm frond walls. A large clay drum rested on one end, and a calabash to scoop water with floated atop. He took what he needed in a smaller wooden bucket, and then he found the black palm soap. He sniffed at it, hibiscus nectar. He washed himself quickly, singing the songs he always did, tunes about the beginning of time, the history of their people, and the rules of life. He sang these songs with word and note. But he bothered little to really think about what they meant. When he was done, he got dry fast with the furry animal skin towel he had brought. And then he rushed to his hut, where he found dry clothes. Now, in a fresh wrapper cloth on his waist, he went back to the farm. His father sat on a wooden chair, the armrests carved out like the face of a lion. In his hand was a sharp knife and a piece of wood he was scraping at. "Good, you are already dressed. I was looking for you." "Nnanyi, I was in the bathhouse." "That is what your mothers said." Anyi nodded and waited. "We are going to the top of the hill today. I must consult the dibia. My dreams have been very troubling." "The dibia can interpret dreams too. I thought they were just healers, herbalists." "There are as many types of dibias as there are types of sciences. But of all, the most revered is the Agwu dibia. It is believed a true Dagwu possesses a third eye inside their skull." "And what do they see with that? Aren't two enough?" His father rose from the chair. "The third eye inside is not for things the two outside can see. It is not even for this world, Uwa Anu." Anyi felt his heart racing and did not know why. "They can see into Uwa Muo, into the spirit realm?" "They say we all can. All children of Allah can. But most only manage so when we dream, because we have been separated from Allah in thought. It is why we meet Dagwu to interpret dreams for us. The furthest from Allah never even dream." "Do the pigmen dream too? Are they children of Allah like we are? Or do they come from somewhere else?" His father snatched his bushy beard. "I will have to ask one about dreaming when I have the chance. It is said that they have their ways, their chi, their Allah, and other things. We say it is the language of a land that the gods there speak." The boy knew little about dreams, even though in his, he often flew over strange metal mountains and encountered strange creatures, and even walked foreign lands. These things meant little to him, and on waking he forgot most of it anyway. "Can I become a Dagwu?" he asked. "Dagwus are not made, they are born. Only one with the gift of the third eye can become Dagwu. If it is your calling, you may run from it, but eventually it possesses you." Anyi paused to imagine, and then he shook himself. "Let me go and wear my sandals. Bring my sword and a short knife for yourself." When Anyi returned with his sandals, his father's sword, and a short knife, they set off. Now the sun was out and the streets busier. Women were making their way to the market, some carrying their trade items on trays balanced on their heads, others rich enough to secure a space at the market moving freely. Anyi watched the women and their various presentations. Ike, being a home to many Ogbi regions all linked back to the great ape men, was a metropolitan kingdom. Bare breasts, cloth cover, skin outfits, beaded covers, feather skirts. The styles were endless, as was the pattern of cosmetic paints and jewelry too. Who came first, Nwok or Nnanyi? Man or woman? It must mean Nwok, right? Anyi asked. Have you ever seen a man give birth to anything? Only when I use the chamber pot. Anyi smiled. And do babies smell like unwashed chamber pots? The smile deepened in mischief, and the boy shook his head. It is not by accident that Amadioha, the mind of nature, is Nuok, male, and then Allah, the body of nature, is Nnanyi, woman. They are two sides of one coin. Without one, the other cannot be, the coin cannot be. Ife kulu, ife auku debeya. Asking which one came first is a flawed question. A mind needs a body and a body needs a mind. His father carried on about things of deep cosmic nature, asking him if he understood the teachings now and again. Each time he claimed that he did, even when he did not. For the most part, he just wanted to listen to the man speak. He loved more than anything else to listen. I know I talk too much, but you see, one day I will be gone, and you will have to teach these things to your own children. And as Nwadopkala, you will have to administer my estate too. It is important that you are knowledgeable, rich with the right ako, information. You must be wise too, sharp with your uche, mind. The boy looked up to his father. I like listening to you talk, even when I don't understand. Though I miss the old stories, with the tortoise and the hare, the ram and the tree. You have grown older than those stories now, so I tell them to your younger ones. Now you have to start learning the truth behind those tales. You are fast becoming a man. The boy did not know if he was ready to become a man, and he did not know if his peers born in the same reign were as unsure too. He had thought about asking his friends before, but a strange shame would not let him. Perhaps they would laugh in his face and call him a tata, baby, or even worse, a coward, onye ujo. Oh, if there was a way to skip the ekpe rite of passage. What is it like being a man, with wives and children and war and the councils? Do you ever miss being just a boy? His father stopped, his brown gaze inverting inwards as if to rescue some memories now long gone. It is not easy, that I can tell you, but it is good. Sure, sometimes I miss the boyish freedom of my youth, but now I have you, my wives, the kingdom. I can think of no better way to honor the ancestors that struggled to establish the first civilization. And I get to lay with women, a great pleasure no boy can know. He smiled, a flash of mischief on his face. I have slept with Ozzy many times. I know she is a girl, not yet a woman, but is it that different? Oh, Anyi, it is very different. Very, very different. As the ape men say, ife nabuna eyi, ma habuhi ofu. Two things may look alike but are not the same thing, the boy echoed. Don't worry, one day when you know the difference between laying with a woman and laying with a woman, we will talk about it. Over palm wine and peppered snails? He smacked Anyi's head in a playful spank. So that is why you want to be a man, to drink palm wine and eat peppered snail. Ah! Help me, do something! The cry came from their right, pushing through the bushes to their ears. Without thinking, the man unsheathed his sword. Stay behind me and have your knife out. They jumped into the bush, the father taking the lead with his eyes peeled open for traps. As they approached, they could make out grunts and some other sounds too. Thumps or stomps, maybe. What language is that? The boy asked. It's pigmen tongue. I've heard it before. They arrived at a space to find 3 men of pinkish skin standing over another one of theirs. He was the one screaming for help. A python was wrapped around his body, squeezing so tightly his bones were on the verge of getting snapped. He couldn't have been breathing much either, and Nnanyi feared the man's lungs were possibly close to collapsing. The helpless soldiers had been trying to pry the snake off their comrade, hitting its head with the butt of their rifles and stabbing it occasionally with the blade attached to their barrels. Immediately, they saw Anyi and his father. Their guns were in the air, pointed at the pair. Move away from him, Nnanyi commanded. You speak Aglon? One soldier asked. The boy turned to his father, shocked that he spoke the pig tongue. You one save friend or no? The men looked at each other and then at the sword that shone naked. Nnanyi slid it back in its sheath. Help, man! The pain suffocated the dying officer to silence. China eke, ekenkekere uwa, eke Anyi na efe, ekenkenwe ala. Nnanyi sang this chant over and over, his voice dimming to a whisper, and before turning to a hiss. The snake hissed back, and then slowly it began to unwrap to free its captive from the death grip. Breath found the man that had gone from pink to red in the face, and he gasped for every bit he could draw in. When the snake was straight, it slithered around as if to mark the land, and then it moved into the bushes and out of their sight. "What was that?" one of the men asked. "You mean you not have spells for animal where you from? Surely pigmen speak to snakes. You build guns and ships, no?" The men, uncomfortable with what they had seen, shook their heads. The man on the ground was now recovered from the squeeze. "Must be hot in clothes. You not like to breathe." Anyi's father teased them for their military uniforms, the long-sleeved and tight-necked attire, and the hats they wore on top of it all. "What bring you to Eek Kingdom? Last I hear the slave trade now over in Anglon land." "We do not like to be called pigmen." One of the men spoke, trying to raise his chest to make an impression. "Why? You call us monkey men. If we as playful as monkey, you as greedy as pig." The men raised their guns. "On this land, kill me, and the very sand you stand on will swallow you." Nnanyi spoke these words in his native tongue. Anyi, who now stood behind him afraid, could not see the cold resolve in his father's eyes. "Are you people mad? He just saved my life." The man who was now standing appeared to be their superior. On his word, their guns came down and Anyi relaxed, if only a little. "What kind people are you? What you want with our land?" The apparent leader cleared his throat. "We are here on the orders of Our Majesty, the great Empress of Anglon, Bethany Liz II, and we come to bring your people civility and culture. Forgive my men and their haste." Civility and culture. Haste. Nnanyi paused to think. "Don't know those words in pig speak. It is lion speak to you, and you will learn what those words mean soon enough. Not to worry. Now, show me to your king." Anyi's father was even more confused now. "King, what is a king?" "You mean Eek people have no rulers?" one of the men asked. "Rulers? Oh, you should have said." He shook his head. No. We are the Eeks, children of the Ogbi, the first men that came from nowhere, the unruled. What we have is an Ez, a priest guide who must earn his place and then vacate the position after 7 years. Are you animals that must be ruled by men, like farmers rule goats? Are you saying that in your Obi, a being, flesh and born of a woman, can tell you what to do? The men watched him with their jaws slacked, throat finding words that were now gone. "Actually, we have a prime." When they tried to reply, he cut them off. "So tell me, what is this civilization and culture that you speak of? And my son wants to know, do pigmen dream?"